The balance of power has shifted in Congress. Now, what does this mean for us here in Utah and across the country?
Chief Political Correspondent Glenn Mills joining us once again in studio with the Hinckley Institute of Politics with more. Glenn?
Yep, today we have Morgan Lyon-Cotty. She's here to help us break down the results, some very interesting results from last night. Some surprises, no doubt about that. Not necessarily on the national level, though. We've expected Democrats to take control of the House. But let's kind of break that down for what that means for Utah.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. All of the polls were showing that Democrats would take the House and Republicans would retain the Senate. We're still waiting to see with some of these really close races how big that majority will be, both in the Senate and in the House. And it also depends on what our delegation looks like. If we have a full Republican delegation going back, so if Mia Love wins this race, it's a question of how they'll interact as the minority. If Ben McAdams pulls this off, we'll see how he acts with a very divided Democratic Party. A lot of moderates won last night, but some real liberals won in some of those cities as well.
And we do know for sure that, say, a position like Representative Bishop holds as the chair of the Powerful Natural Resources Committee, that's gone.
It's not as fun to be the ranking member, to be in the minority on these committees. And one of his pleas to voters was, send me back one more time. I have this powerful position on the committee. He'll still hold sway, though.
Okay, so let's dig more into the Love and McAdams race. Right now, McAdams holding on to a 2-point lead. What are we watching over the next couple of days as more returns start to come in?
We're really watching those vote-by-mail ballots, those provisional ballots. And the interesting thing, last night we saw Salt Lake County numbers come in big for Ben. Right now he is winning Salt Lake County by 16,000 votes. We haven't seen a Democrat win by that much in Salt Lake County since Matheson beat Love in 2012, so that's important. But throughout the night, as Utah County and Juab and San Pete were coming in, we saw that get chipped away. But now those vote-by-mail numbers are coming in from the entire district, so we'll see how much it really affects his lead.
Who is in a better position in this point? If you were running a campaign, would you rather be running McAdams or Loves at this point?
Well, he's in the lead, so he's definitely in the better position, and 5,000 votes at this point in the day after the election is a lot. However, so many people vote by mail now, so they are still counting a lot of ballots.
And we have seen races, you know, flip a point or two once we get through the canvassing period.
We have. A lot of those have been those smaller legislative races, right, and it was maybe a degree of 200 votes. 5,000 votes is a lot, but again, there's so many ballots still to be counted.
Okay, President Trump today speaking, he's still speaking right now to the national media. He specifically mentioned Mia Love. He said, Mia Love gave me no love and she lost. Now, we first want to point out that this race hasn't been called yet.
Right.
But interesting to hear that coming from the commander-in-chief.
Very interesting. If you look at his tweets all morning, he's been trying to proclaim victory. And so he is doing that in a way where he's focusing on the Senate, and he's also trying to distance himself from those people who he thinks are going to lose, and saying that they are losing because they didn't adopt that Trump platform and work closely with him.
So is he essentially saying, I wanted to come out to Utah and campaign for Mia Love and she didn't want it? Is that what he's implying?
I think he's just implying that people that he helped, and he brought up the Josh Holt case, you know, if you help, he works really in this negotiation phase. So if he is helping you, he expects you to help him as well. And he didn't think that she ran on that Trump platform enough.
And he did specifically mention, look, when I was helping her with the Josh Holt situation, she was calling me all the time, and during the campaign she never called.
Yeah, and that was very,
according to him.
Yeah, that was very prepared. Everybody knows with Trump, he likes to riff, he likes to speak off script, but he was looking down. Those were prepared notes.
Let's take a look at Salt Lake County. Democrats came out really big. In fact, it was not a good night for Republicans in Salt Lake County.
It really wasn't. And you know, coming into this election, some people have wondered if the Romney coattails would really be helping a lot of these Republicans. And it looks like it was either the Prop 2 or the McAdams coattails that actually helped quite a few Democrats. We saw Democrats pick up a couple of legislative seats in Salt Lake County, as well as come out strong in those county positions.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to flip 3 seats in the State House and 1 in the Senate.
Right.
Let's look at the ballot initiatives. You mentioned Prop 2, a big driver. Props 2 and 3 are passing, but 4 barely hanging on. We could definitely, yeah, we could definitely see that one change.
We really could, and it's so funny. We were just speaking yesterday about how that had not really had very much opposition. It had been polling well, but it is this tricky thing. And when people walk into the ballot and they see these words like bipartisan and non-binding and commission, it can get confusing. And when people don't feel like they understand it, or maybe they didn't think it had enough teeth, they might vote against it. And we saw that.
Yeah. Also interesting, so we saw Prop 3. It's got a pretty nice lead. It's going to hang on. That includes a tax increase.
Right.
But question 1, when you talked about raising the gas tax, I mean, that went down in a blaze of glory. Voters wanted none of that. So what do you make of the discrepancy between the two tax increases?
Very different taxes. I think that's part of it. The gas tax versus the sales tax. And the gas tax seemed like such a big price tag, 10 cents. And also when it comes to that Medicaid expansion, people can really personalize that and see how it might affect their lives or their friends' lives. This big tax increase for just education in general, it seems really vague, and that's harder to get behind.
All right, Morgan Lyon-Cuddy, appreciate your perspective on this post-election day. Thanks so much.
Happy to be here.
For more information on the races we just talked about and others here in Utah and around the country, just head over to our website, abc4.com/politics.